On the big, shiny table, I put an envelope. It was thick and very easy to see. Inside, there was \text $5000. This amount of cash could fix a small problem for a poor person, or it could make them steal. This was my perfect, final test. I actually wanted it to show that my belief was right, that people are greedy. I sat back in my velvet armchair. The expensive chair was soft, but I felt cold inside. My mind was full of old hurts. I remembered how a partner stole my business idea years ago. Trust is a joke. I took out my favorite, valuable gold watch. It ticked softly. I held it loose near the armrest. It was a second trap. If they were bold, they might try to take the watch too. The first sound I heard was not a person. It was the hard rain hitting the windows of Wrenwood Hall. It was a huge storm. Schools were closed, and my usual schedule was ruined. Then, a quiet, worried whisper came from outside the door. "Ethan, please. Be silent. Do not touch anything. We cannot lose this job." The door opened a little. It was Maria, my maid. She looked terrified and tired. She held a little boy's hand. He was Ethan, maybe 7 years old, wearing a thin, too small yellow raincoat. Maria saw me, pretending to sleep, and she froze. "Mr. Finch," she whispered. "The school's closed. The storm. I am sorry. I have no sitter. He will be quiet. I promise." I stayed completely still. I needed to look like an old man totally lost in sleep. "I am so sorry, sir," she whispered again, almost crying. Maria quickly led Ethan to the farthest, darkest corner by the globe. She gave him a red, broken toy truck. How sad, I thought. Bringing your problems right here. "Don't move, Ethan. Mommy will be back soon. Please. For us," she begged him. She hurried out to clean the dining room. The small boy was left alone with me and the \text $5000 on the table nearby. I watched him with sharp, half-open eyes. Ethan was small, but he looked around carefully. He was not looking at the rich objects. He seemed impressed by how quiet the room was. Then, he saw the table. His eyes landed on the thick, cream-colored envelope. His fingers squeezed his broken toy truck. I saw the truck was missing a wheel. He probably wanted the money to fix or replace it. "Here we go," I thought, feeling a bitter victory. Proof. He played, but his eyes kept going back to the money. He was fighting with himself. I could feel the pull of the cash against his mother's scary warning. "Go on, little thief. Make your move. Show me I'm right." He shifted, and his toy truck made a small noise on the stone fireplace. It was not loud, but it sounded huge in the silent house. I almost jumped up. I was ready to shout and accuse him of trying to steal. But Ethan did not rush to the table. He stopped moving. His eyes looked at me, then at the truck. He let out a little, shaky breath. He did not go near the cash. He just picked up the truck and sat down again, trying to look small. Strange, I thought. He's just waiting. I closed my eyes again, staying still. The trap was still working. After a few minutes, the rain grew louder. The wind pushed hard against the walls. I felt a cold wind on my legs. I am 75, and I suppressed a shiver. I could not move. Then, Ethan moved again. Slowly, quietly. He did not look at me. He looked only at the table. My heart beat faster. It's happening now. He crept on his hands and knees. He reached the table. The \text $5000 was right there. It would be easy to grab it. His hand reached out. It hovered over the envelope. I prepared my speech. But his hand did not grab the money. He was looking at where the envelope was sitting. It was too close to the edge of the table, near my chair. If I moved, it could fall off and scatter the cash. Ethan's small hand gently, slowly, pushed the envelope back toward the middle of the table. He moved it to a safer place. He was protecting my money from an accident. He stopped. He saw my big leather notebook had slipped. He reached up and put it back, neat next to the envelope. I could not breathe. My fake sleep was breaking. This was not the act of a greedy child. This was care. He started to go back, but he stopped again. His small, wet eyes looked down at my knees, where the cold air was hitting. He looked at the violent storm outside, then back at my legs. Then, he did the final, unbelievable thing. He took off his bright yellow raincoat. It was clearly wet from the rain. He walked up to me one last time, not looking at the money or my face. Only my legs. And then, he placed his small, damp raincoat over my exposed legs, like a blanket. The sudden cool, damp weight of the coat hit me. It was a massive shock. It was so pure. He had given me a shield of protection, a sacrifice of his own comfort. This coat was probably all he had against the rain, and he gave it to the man sleeping next to a fortune. I lay there, unable to move, under the weight of his small, damp kindness. It was a feeling I had not felt in years, guilt. My mind screamed, my belief is wrong. The world I knew is gone. He went back to his corner, grabbed his broken truck, and sat down. He was quiet, just watching the rain. He had given me the only comfort he owned, asking for nothing. The shock kept me still. I felt stuck under the weight of that wet little raincoat. It felt heavy, heavier than all the gold in my bank. I lay there, listening to Ethan's quiet breathing and the loud storm. I tried to make sense of the world, the one I thought I knew, and the one Ethan just showed me. It must be a trick, a dark voice in my head insisted. He's waiting for me to wake up and give him a reward. He planned this. But I looked at him. He was busy trying to put the broken wool back on his toy truck. He looked frustrated but focused. He was not looking at the \text $5,000 envelope at all. It was not an act. The door opened softly again. Maria came back. She saw everything right away. Her eyes went from the safe envelope, untouched, to my legs, covered by the wet yellow coat. Her face went from worried to pure, wide-eyed panic. "Oh my God," she gasped, the sound like a punch of air. She rushed to me, grabbing the coat off me as if it were dirty. I opened my eyes slowly and looked right at her fear. "Mr. Finch, I am so sorry," she stumbled over her words. She quickly rubbed the moisture on the velvet chair with her apron. You must have thought you were cold." I warned him. I told him not to touch anything. He meant no harm, I promise. She quickly pulled Ethan forward. The boy looked up at me. His eyes were now filled with the fear he had learned from his mother. "I will clean the chair right now," Maria begged, her voice shaking. "I'll pay for the damage, sir. I know I cannot afford it, but I will pay for the water stain." I watched her fear. This woman, deep in debt, truly believed her son's simple kind act had just cost them everything. She was loyal to me, her boss, not to the cash on the table. Ethan, seeing how upset his mother was, stepped up. He held out his only toy, the broken red truck. "Sir," his voice was small but brave. "It's for the chair. It's a good truck. Mommy says if you make a mess, you give your best thing." That moment completely broke my heart. Seeing that chipped, broken plastic offered as payment for a small wet spot on my expensive chair shattered the last wall around my heart. The boy offered his treasure, the proof of his poverty, just to save his mother from my anger. I slowly sat up. The chair squeaked loudly. "Maria," I said. My voice was rough and strange to my own ears. "Stop." She jumped, thinking I would shout. I held up the little yellow raincoat. It was still cool and wet. Why did he do this? Maria looked confused. "Ethan, why did you put your coat on Mr. Finch? You were cold." Ethan did not look at me or the money. He looked at his mother. "Because he looked cold, Mommy. You said, if someone is cold, you give them a blanket." I leaned back in the velvet chair. "A blanket." I looked from the boy to his mother. "Maria, look at the table." She looked. Her eyes grew wide again. She saw the \text $5,000 envelope, safe and sound, in the middle of the table. It was a test, I admitted. The words tasted bad in my mouth. That money was a test. I put it there to see who would steal. Maria looked at me like I was crazy. "Sir, I do not understand. I am a man who has lost everything important because of people's greed," I explained. The bitterness was still there, but it felt weak now. My children only visit to ask about my money. My partners betrayed me. I thought greed was the only thing that moved people. I needed this test to prove that I was right to be alone. I pointed to Ethan. He passed. He kept my notebooks safe, he secured my money, and he gave me the only warm thing he had. I dropped my voice to a whisper. "I have lost my soul, Maria, and your son just gave me back a piece of it." I leaned forward, putting the broken truck gently on the table next to the \text $5,000. "I owe him," I said strongly. "Not a reward. A debt of the spirit." I looked at Ethan. His fear was slowly turning into curiosity. "Ethan," I said. My voice was the softest I had used in years. "I am going to make you an offer. A very big one." Maria held her apron. "Ready for the punishment. I want you to come here every day after school." I continued, speaking right to the boy. "Not to clean, not to work. I will pay for all your school, from now until you finish college. And my offer is this. I am hiring you to be my teacher." He tilted his head. "Teacher of what, sir?" "Of kindness, son," I said, feeling a knot in my throat. "I need you to show me the world through honest eyes. I need you to teach me how to trust and how to love again. Do you agree?" Maria cried out in shock and relief, falling to her knees. Ethan looked at his mother. She nodded, unable to speak. He looked back at me, the bitter, cold man he had just covered with his raincoat. "Yes, sir," Ethan said simply. "I agree. The 10 years that followed were the only good years of my long life." Ethan became my shadow, my friend, and my better self. He did not come to Wrenwood Hall for the grand house. He came for the quiet time we shared. We started slowly, reading books in the study, where the light fell on the pages he once feared to touch. I taught him about business and history. He taught me how to wait and how to see things differently. I paid for his education, yes, but the greatest gift was the way I learned from him. I watched him share his lunch with a gardener who forgot theirs. I saw him spend hours helping Maria sort old papers, never complaining about the small task. He did not ask for expensive toys or technology. He asked for wood and tools to build a strong birdhouse for the courtyard. Ethan was the son I wished for and the good man I had failed to become. My old bitterness did not leave right away, but Ethan slowly, day by day, wore it down. I started to give money to local causes, not to save on taxes, but because Ethan said the town library needed new computers. I found myself smiling, a real smile. During these years, my own children, Devin and Camilla, were far away. They only called on holidays, and they always asked about my health and my money. "Father, are you going to change the structure of the tech companies? It matters for our inheritance plan," Devin demanded on the phone one night. "No, Devin," I answered easily. "I am helping Ethan finish a project about space. The universe is more interesting than your bank account." Camilla was just as bad. "I heard you had the east side of the house fixed. If you have extra money, I truly need a loan for an apartment in London. You know how much that costs." "The price of things is not important, Camilla," I replied. "Kindness costs nothing, but its value is huge. That is what I spend my time on now." They saw the change. They saw Ethan. They saw Maria, no longer a nervous maid, but a respected house manager, safe and happy. They hated it. They tried everything to turn me against the boy. "He is tricking you, father," Devin accused one Sunday. "This is a long game he is playing. He has been here for 10 years. What do you think he really wants?" I looked at him hard. "He wants a good life and an education, Devin. Things you had and never cared about. He wants the one thing you and Camilla threw away, me." Camilla laughed harshly. "Please. You only keep him because he makes you feel good. We are your blood, father. We are family." I took a slow drink of water. "Family is a choice, Camilla. It is built on respect and care. You both gave me anger and entitlement. Ethan gave me his last bit of warmth." They were furious. They started demanding to see my financial papers. They said I was too old to make decisions. They saw their inheritance, which they had planned on for years, disappearing. It was being replaced by the memory of a yellow raincoat and a broken toy. The truth was, I felt more alive at 85 than I did at any other time. I had been given a chance to save my soul. I taught Ethan how to handle the world, and he taught me how to truly live in it. One afternoon, 10 years after that first test, I was sitting in my velvet chair again. Ethan, now a smart young man in college, was reading a book about a great, kind person. The room felt bright, peaceful, and full of love. I looked at the spot on the table where I had put the \text $5000 envelope. It seemed ridiculous now. I closed my eyes. This time, I was not pretending to sleep. It was a comfortable, peaceful rest. Transition to the aftermath. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave a comment telling us the most selfless act you've ever witnessed. It helps us bring more meaningful stories to you. The funeral was fast. Just as I expected, Devin and Camilla cried fake tears. They were mostly putting on a show for the cameras and the lawyer, Mr. Harrington. Ethan stood next to Maria. He was calm and sad, truly mourning the man who had become his father. A week later, we were all in Mr. Harrington's boring office for the will reading. The air was thick and tense. Devin walked around the room, glaring at Ethan with clear hate. Camilla played with her jewelry, shooting angry looks at the envelope on the big desk. I sat there, the ghost in the room, watching the greedy ones wait. Mr. Harrington cleared his throat and started reading. He read the small gifts first, money for old staff members, business friends, and Maria. She was left a good amount of money that would keep her safe and comfortable. Devin leaned in. Now for the main wealth, Mr. Harrington. The Finch Tech Group. The largest part. Mr. Harrington nodded, his face showing nothing. He turned a page. Yes, the main estate, including the companies, the properties, and the shipping fleet, which is 85% of the total fortune. Camilla actually smiled, ready to hear her name. I, Alistair Finch. Mr. Harrington continued, reading the final, huge statement. Leave entirely to Ethan Maxwell, the son of Maria Maxwell. The noise that came out of Devin was a mix of a gasp and a shout. Camilla jumped out of her chair, knocking it over. This is impossible, Devin yelled, his face red with anger. You can't be serious. My father was sick. He was tricked. I demand to see the doctor's papers. Alistair was sound of mind, Mr. Finch, Harrington said calmly. The will was prepared and checked over many years. It cannot be changed. The maid's son, Camilla screamed, pointing at Ethan with a shaking finger. He is nothing but a charity case. He is not family. Ethan did not say anything. He just looked at the lawyer, showing the respect and control I had always wanted my own children to have. Mr. Harrington held up one last, folded piece of paper. Alistair asked that this letter be read out to everyone here. He began reading my final words. To my children, Devin and Camilla. You will have some money, but the most of my wealth is not yours. You only cared about my money and hoped I would die quickly so you could get it. You never gave me respect, love, or even common kindness. You failed the only test that ever mattered. The room was silent, full of anger. Devin was shaking with rage. To Ethan, the letter continued, and the voice became soft. You won a game you did not know you were playing. On a rainy day 10 years ago, you walked past a fortune you badly needed. Instead, you gave your only shield against the cold, your coat, to a cold, sad old man. You taught me the value of a person's heart. You gave me back my life, my trust, and my reason to be good. He gave me everything he had, expecting nothing in return. That day, he paid a debt of the spirit that no money could buy. My legacy is not the money. It is the kindness he taught me. I give the wealth to him so he can invest it in goodness, a quality you both showed me has no price, but also, for you, no value. The letter ended. Mr. Harrington closed the folder. The silence in the room was crushing. Camilla fell back into her chair, defeated. Devin ran out of the office, slamming the door hard. Ethan finally spoke, looking at the lawyer. Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Ethan became the billionaire I had always dreamed of being. He used the Finch money not just to make more money, but to build and help people. He started the Raincoat Trust, a large foundation that pays for school for poor children and builds community centers where there is need. His motto, which he learned from me, was simple. The poorest pocket can hold the richest heart. He carried on the deep legacy that started with a lie, my fake sleep, and ended with a great truth, his kindness. He proved that kindness is not weak. It is the most important investment you can make, one that always pays back. I died a rich man, not because of the money I left, but because of the soul I found. Thank you so much for watching and staying with this story. If this reminded you that character is more valuable than cash, please give the video a thumbs up, like, subscribe so you don't miss our next story, and let us know in the comments below, what does true wealth mean to you?